right, Mallory. So to start off with, we're going to go inside the numbers here. And this is something that we came up with, and we wanted to, if you reference back into our Dave Campbell's magazines, I'll pull up the 61st edition, so this was the 2020 version. Y'all know that in the college section, we have the grading the unit segments. So there's 4 on offense, 4 on defense. On offense, there's quarterbacks, running backs, offensive line, and receivers. On defense, it's defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs, and special teams. So we go through and we grade them. So let's go ahead and pull this up here. We showed you how we're turning this into a numeric value. This is our grading scale for grading the units of Texas college football. Now, the possible grades are all the way from A+ down to D-, as you can see there. So there's technically 12 different grades that each of these units could get. We decided, in order to figure out and put a numeric value to figure out which of these units is the strongest in Texas college football as a whole, and again, this is based off the 12 FBS programs, we put numbers to each of them. So obviously an A+ is the highest grade you can get, so that scale value in a numeric form would be 12 all the way down to 1, which is D-. So we have that, and we took the 8 categories of those 4 offensive, 4 defensive, and we took this grades from the upcoming 62nd edition of the Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine right here, the 2021, heading into the 2021 season, to see which position had the most depth in it. So we crunched the numbers, and here's what we came up with here. Going in order here in our Texas college football, grading the units. Out of the 12 FBS programs, running back comes through at number 1 with an average score of 9.3. Coming in second there, special teams with 8.8, receivers in third with 8.1, defensive backs coming in fourth with 7.8. Then we move down into the bottom half of our 8 categories here. Linebacker with a score of 7.7, offensive line with an average of 7.1, defensive line with an average of 7 even. And then coming in last place, quarterback rankings with 6.8. So like we said, these are the grades of the 12 FBS programs heading into the 2021 season. We took the data from the magazine that will be coming out here in a couple of weeks. So we're not going to tell you exactly what the grades are of each unit. If you want to find that out, please subscribe and get our magazine sent to you. But taking a look at this, there's quite a few things that you can take away from this. And I think that running back is probably not a surprise to most people that it's the highest ranked.
And even me and you were talking about this before we even crunched these numbers,
Mm-hmm.
and we were discussing that we thought running back was probably going to be up there and in the top 3, you know?
Right, because you think about it, and if you look at maybe, take the Power 5 units per se, and you've got Isaiah Spiller up there, you've got, even Bijan Robinson, who started to be a breakout star last year, so you're looking at those really, really good running backs, but I think the thing that pushes running back into that number 1 spot is even in our group of 5 schools, when you go down to UTSA, you have arguably the best running back, not only in Conference USA, but in Texas football as a whole, in Sincere McCormick. So when you start getting those Power 5 schools, or the group of 5 schools, excuse me, that can also put up those numbers at the running back spot, I think that was not super surprising. That running back does show the most depth in Texas college football heading into the 2021 season.
Absolutely.
On the other side of that, you and I both, after crunching the numbers, went, special teams.
Yes.
Didn't expect it to be at the bottom, didn't necessarily expect it to be in that second ranking.
Right, no. And, we were kind of looking at the teams, and of course, Rice ranks up there in special teams. And I even looked more into Rice and their special team ranking in the nation, and one website had them at 11th, ranked 11th in the nation for special teams, which does make sense in the long run.
Yeah, and so it's... Yeah, you look at that, and again, when the group of 5 have those really strong units like that, it really does start to push up a little bit. And I mean, I can let you in to this. In our special teams, we had 1, 2, 3, four out of the 12 that were ranked in the A's. And so that once you start getting on that numeric scale, like we said, A plus being the highest at 12, down to A minus would be the lowest ranking of the A category, then it's 10 points. So, I mean, you're really starting to rack up the points there. And so as we continue to go on, I think another thing that people are going to highly focus on here is the quarterback ranking.
Yes.
Pulling up in that 8th spot, according to Dave Campbell's Texas football, really being the weakest lack of depth in Texas college football. But you look at it and you think, okay, well, are they just saying that all the quarterbacks are awful?
Right.
No, really, it's kind of a
toss-up. You just
we
really
don't know.
Right. And of course, we've got a couple of Texas high school football quarterbacks that are ranked up there that are going to some of these Texas colleges like Eli Stowers and Eddie Lee Marburger. So it'll be really interesting to see if they really make an impact in this quarterback ranking.
Right, and that is such a good point with the overall, when you look at the quarterbacks in Texas Texas college football right now, you can say, well, there's a lot of veteran guys that we just really don't know. Take Texas with Casey Thompson for a minute. We saw him in the bowl game, but how much stock do you put into that? But the other side of it is, yeah, there is a lot of teams that have, I mean, you look at A&M, they've got Haynes King. Then you look at UTSA, they've got Eddie Lee Marburger. Texas has Hudson Card. All of these players that we know were bona fide studs, really, really good athletes in the high school realms. We know that the best way to describe quarterback with an overall rating of 6.8 is to sit there and say, well, look, this ceiling, we know it's high. Right. You can't tell me that Hudson Card isn't a great quarterback, that Haynes King isn't a great quarterback. ELM, let the boy cook over there at UTSA. We know how high the ceiling is. The floor could also be low, because we just don't have the data yet. It's a preview magazine. Obviously, we're going, that number could go up if we see those young guys at the quarterback position take a big step forward and get the starts and all of that. Then heading into next year, I bet you that quarterback position goes up. They're not going to be in that last plate, but right now it's a
You don't know.
We don't know.
We're very confused, just like you guys are. It'll be interesting to see. I'm really excited for that quarterback position, just because I feel like it usually is a dominant position in Texas,
And I think another big thing to show there is linemen. Man, they were sitting there at the 6th and 7th spot there with a pretty average ranking. And looking at our spreadsheet that we put together here, it's a lot of them that are just kind of in that lower B, mid C realm.
Right.
And that's something also that if you want to go even further into the weeds, is you could sit there and say that could honestly affect the play of running backs. Exactly. You have running back category sitting there at number 1 with a score of 9 point whatever it was. And then if you have the offensive line sitting all the way down there, those are things that play back and forth into each other.
Right, absolutely. If you have a year where, like overall, you don't have that good of an offensive line, your running back is not going to be as strong. We've talked about this before. No matter how good your running back is, if you don't have a strong and big offensive line that can really guard for you, you're not going to be as successful. You're not going to be able to live up to your full potential, right?
No, you are absolutely right. So obviously we know that it's a team game. It all goes into play, but I just thought that those numbers were super interesting. And another point to bring up here, because it was mentioned in the comments, just about the quarterback spot. We talked a whole lot about the young guys that we haven't been able to see play from the Texas high school football ranks. But if you look at the other side of that, the returning starter with the most experience is Max Duggan from TCU. Which I'm not saying Max Duggan is not a good football player, but I'm not saying that he is a superstar.
Best.
So it's like you've got that to go off of. And then you want to bring in Tech. They've got their new quarterback that transferred in from Oregon. And it's like, well, yeah, he played in a Pac-12. You know the guy can sling the ball, but is that going to fit in those scenarios heading into the 2021 season? So again, all of those numbers, we thought that was pretty interesting to take it. We took it from the regular grading scale that you've seen in the magazine for years and years now, put it to a numeric value, and those are the numbers that we came up with running back being the position that we expect heading into 2021 that has the most amount of depth, and then quarterback being the last, which I feel like pretty much explains itself.
Yes.
So we didn't give you exactly what those gradings were, but that's because we want you to find out and get them in the magazine. All of those are in there. Our college football guys worked really hard to put all those together. Some very enticing stories. But yeah, overall, pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, this was all you. You came up with this segment, and I kind of just helped you crunch the numbers. But
crunching the numbers.
Great job on that. I mean, I think it was super interesting. I hope you guys liked it too. But yeah, very good job.
Absolutely. So there you go. Inside the numbers, looking at the depths of positions and giving them grades in Texas college football.